For the past few months, I've been experimenting with a variety of one-log stoves, trying to find something that was quick and easy to make, easy to light and to keep burning, and something where you could control the heat on it, so that if you wanted a higher heat for frying or boiling, you could do that. Or if you wanted a lower heat, you'd be able to achieve that as well. And what I've come up with is the split log stove. For this one log stove, all we're going to need is some kind of saw and a tool to make a split in the wood. I found this down spruce tree, dead wood, and the section of wood that I'm looking at here is about 8 inches in diameter. You want to try to match up the diameter of the log you get with the diameter of the pot or pan that you'll be using. My pan that I'm going to be making my breakfast with is about 8 inches in diameter, so this log should do just fine. So we're going to be making 3 cuts on this log. The first cut we're going to be making on the wider end, so the log tapers from this side this way. It gets narrower up here. The tip of the tree is that way and the base of the tree is that way. So I'm going to make my first cut right down here. So we got our first cut done. Now we're going to move up about 2 inches from that, make another cut. That's going to give us our base. There's our base, nice and thick. That'll do perfectly. So now we're going to come up about 10 inches from that cut and make our final cut. Next step is just to split this log right in half. One split is all we need. Now that our log is split, I'm just going to do one extra step. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, it just helps a bit with heat distribution. Figure out which side you want to be your top. So this is the side that my pan is going to sit on. And all we're going to do is just remove a little bit of this wood from the inside of the log near the top, which is just going to help that flame to reach out a bit, and which is going to help with heat distribution. Doesn't take much, just a little bevel like that. That's all you need. All right. With both those done, let's get this thing burning. Now that our stove is completely done, ready to burn, we're going to take our base, seat it into the ground. Just make sure it's good and sturdy and as level as it needs to be. Then we're going to take our burning logs, place them on top. And I usually just like to seat it into the ground a bit better. And just make sure that the top of my stove, where my pot or pan is going to be sitting, is good and level. Getting this log stove burning is super easy. We're just going to open up one side. On the back here, both logs are still touching. We just have the front side opened up to create this air channel. I'm going to throw some tinder at the bottom, and I'm just using birch bark today. Lots of birch trees around this area, so might as well take advantage. Then we're just going to throw some small fuel on top. I try to lean my fuel towards the back where it's still closed up so it doesn't fall out. And all we have to do now is light up our tinder. And I think you're going to be surprised with how quickly this gets going. A lot of other one log stoves take quite a while to really get burning, but this one takes off quite quickly and takes very little fuel to get it going. Alright, well, this is going real strong. Let's get my kettle on there. Get to making some coffee. So it's probably been about maybe just over 5 minutes now. So I'm going to add my coffee grounds here before it gets really boiling. Oh, that's good. Alright, so coffee's made. Got that water up to a boil. Took, I don't know, maybe about 6-7 minutes or so. So not too bad. What I've done now is I've just pulled these logs further apart. You can see how big of a gap is between them. And all that's going to do is, it's kind of going to stop the logs from burning so rapidly. They're not going to be interacting with each other quite as much. So we're getting a much lower heat over it now. So we're probably good to start cooking our breakfast. So this is the advantage of the split log stove, is that you can move these logs to control the heat. So when I move them away like they are right now, these logs stop interacting with each other and they stop feeding off of each other. So the fire loses a lot of its heat. And actually, if you separate these logs, just leave them, they'll go out relatively quickly too. Maybe 10-15 minutes they'll be completely out. So this is it's a great way to conserve fuel if you just need to boil up some coffee. You can separate them, they'll die, and then come back, light it up, and once these logs are charred on the inside, they relight extremely easily. So right now, just letting these logs cool down. I've got them separated right here. It's another reason why this base is so handy, because it just gives you a platform to work on and move these logs around on. You don't have to worry about the ground being level or stable or anything, so it's a really good setup actually. So these logs are starting to turn all ashy on the inside. So we'll give them a few more minutes, then we'll be ready for cooking. It's been a few more minutes. I've got these logs about maybe just over 1 inch apart at the top here, and got a relatively medium heat. So we're gonna start cooking. Now I know that there'll be people that'll argue that this setup's no good because you only have the one split, so you're only gonna get heat throughout the very center of your pan. But that's just not the case. Your pan's gonna absorb that heat and it's gonna spread out. Like on the edge of my pan. Ooh. Yeah, that's too hot to touch, and this bacon's frying up just fine. Coffee boiled up just fine. So I'd call this pretty effective. So the nice thing about this setup with this base is that it keeps your fire up off the ground, which is great if your situation's similar to mine, where it's been real hot and dry the past few weeks. Haven't really got any moisture and the ground's really dry and there's potential for a forest fire. This is a great way to be able to cook food, boil water, without actually having to have a fire on the ground. Heat's getting a little bit lower than I want, so I'm just gonna come in here, move those a bit closer together. That'll bring the heat up. Should be good for our eggs. That's really good. Oh man, breakfast of champions right there. Alright, well, I'm gonna break camp once I finish here and carry on down the trail. So what I'm gonna do is move these burning logs as far apart as I can get them on this base and leave them, and they'll go out by themselves. Finish my meal and pack up my stuff, and by the time I'm done, that should be out. Alright, well, I got my dishes done and went for a quick swim. It's really hot out today, and that's the only way to beat the heat out here. But this has been sitting for, well, probably half hour, maybe 45 minutes or so, and it is out. There's not even any heat left. Maybe just a little bit warm on the bottom here, but that's no big deal. Same with this side. Our base here, yeah, it's just a little bit warm. So you can see underneath, besides it being just flattened down, there's no damage. Now there's a little bit of ash and stuff that fell out, but there's no burning on the ground. On the base, there's no burning. It didn't burn through. It's got a little bit low right here, but that's why we make our base about 2.5 inches thick. So there you have it, the split log stove. It's quick and simple to make, easy to use, and you can even control the heat on it, which is a huge bonus when you're trying to cook out here. So I'd recommend you give it a try. It's a fun little project and works really well, and let me know what you think. And if you made it this far, I just want to say thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. I've got a lot more videos coming real soon. We are just about done with summer, just about done with the heat and the bugs, which I am so excited for. Starting in the fall, we're going to have some real good videos coming out here. So, yeah, I appreciate you watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. God bless, and happy trails.